Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you 10 audiobook recommendations. I've listened to all these books that I'm going to talk about in this video as audiobooks, and I'm sure that they were excellent to listen to as audio rather than read them as physical books. I do think that if I had read these books as physical books, I would not have enjoyed them and got a lot out of them than I had got out of audiobooks. So I'm going to recommend all these 10 books to you. Without any further ado, let's get into the video right now. The first one is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. One of the main reasons why I'm recommending this as an audiobook is because Elizabeth Acevedo always narrates all her books in her own voice, and I should say that for a book being written in verse, I think that the author made an excellent job of narrating it because she knows the exact voice and modulation and the way in which each and every line needs to be addressed for a listener or a reader in order to make complete sense of what she's trying to convey and articulate. I do think that her writing is also very excellent, mixed with her voice and narrated by herself. The emotions that are to be brought to the listener or reader while going through certain lines are just perfect in many instances, and it deals with the story of a girl who's from a very conservative Christian home, and she has this aspiration to become a poet, but there are also certain things from her family due to certain circumstances that stop her from attending her poetry lessons, and the story is really heartwarming in many ways. I'm sure that if you read this, you'll love it. Next one is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. I finished listening to this as an audiobook only in December, but from then on itself until now I've recommended this book and talked about this book in multiple videos. It also ended up being one of my most favorite reads from 2020. I actually tried to get a physical copy of this book because it's an illustrated book. Also, one thing about this one is that it's suitable for all age ranges. Starting from children to adults, everyone can read this and get immense value out of it. I'm sure that this one is also narrated by the author himself. We have a disadvantage of not being able to look into the illustrations. Mainly it's an illustrated book, but I do think that the author's voice and the way in which he expresses certain things to be delivered in an audiobook rather than from a physical book as an illustrated copy is very excellent in many ways. It's just a book which will give you a lot of hope and positivity and just fill your heart with love and make you feel like you can do many things which you do think are not possible for you to do, and I do think that this is one book which everyone needs to read. Next one is a big audiobook, and it is The Invisible Life of Addie La Rue by V.E. Schwab. This is also one of my most favorites from last year. Okay, this story actually deals with the life of a 23-year-old woman named Addie La Rue from France in a village called Vion, and what happens is she doesn't want to get married, so she prays to a god, and a god answers to her after the sun sets down, and she has to make a trade with the god in order to get her wish for not being able to marry. She wants immortality, and what happens is as a cash for her immortality, one thing is asked from her, which is that she'll not be remembered by anyone once she leaves the place. It plays out in different ways throughout the story. The actual story happens through a span of 300 to 400 years, and I should say that though it is a bit slow, it is very well written. Okay, I should say that it's not narrated by the author, but the writing in this one is perfect. It'll be better if you listen to it. Also, if you can read it and enjoy it at the same time, but I was not able to get my hands on a physical copy of this book, and I was very much happy that I listened to it as an audiobook because it was just so excellent, and the concepts that the author has tried to explore in this one are just top notch. The next one is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Just like Elizabeth Acevedo, Neil Gaiman also narrates all his books in the audio format, and this story deals with the story of a little girl, okay, named Coraline, not Caroline. Okay, it's kind of a horror story. Even children can read it, and I'm sure that this has the capacity to terrify as well as make you feel the shivers at the same time, make you feel like you're just wrapped in a huge blanket. It's that cool a book to read. I can say that while reading this book, there will be at least some instances during which you will feel the fear creep through your spine. He has written it in such a way, yet it is not so much overpowering that little kids can't read it, mainly because it's a middle grade book, but I'm sure that even adults while reading it can get those shivers and those goosebump feels while reading it. One of the main elements which makes this even more better as an audiobook is the narration of Neil Gaiman. Okay, he has this beautiful British accent which just makes each and every audiobook the best, if you ask me, and I'm sure that his narration has that proper flavor and all the flings that needs to be given to the story like this one. Next one is Norse Mythology, also by Neil Gaiman. This one is also narrated by the author himself. It's just the Greek mythology but told from a different point of view. That is Neil Gaiman's point of view himself, and him narrating his point of view on his own is just so excellent in many ways. One of the words that I can use to describe the narration style of Neil Gaiman is that it's very subtle and juicy at the same time, because you don't feel like you want to put the audiobook down at all. You just want to start and finish, just keep on listening to it and finish it in one go. It's just so good in many ways, and I'm sure that if you read this or listen to this, you'll just love it. The next one is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Now this is a contemporary book with sci-fi elements put into it. The different thing about the world in the book is that it's the same world in which we live in, but the only difference is that a person, when they are about to die in a particular day, they'll receive a phone call in advance, and they'll get to know that they're going to die in that particular day. That is within 24 hours from the call, they would have died for sure. And what happens is there are these two main characters, Matteo and Rufus, who are going to die on the same day, and accidentally what happens is they meet and they have the best last day of their lives. It's very beautiful in many ways. It's painful, okay, painful and sad throughout, but just think, okay, if you know that you're going to die on a particular day, how do you spend that day? What are the things that will come to your mind while doing each and everything? Okay, there are particular instances during which the two characters even are frightened to take an elevator in order to go to an upper floor, because they know that they're going to die today and they don't want to die in a very feeble way of being caught in an elevator while it's going up or down. It is very poignant in many ways, if you ask me, and I'm sure that it is very well to be listened as an audiobook. The next 4 books in this list are all narrated by the author themselves. Of these, the first one is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. This is a book which is predominantly based just on the law of attraction itself and the various stories that the author uses in order to make us understand the power of the law of attraction. Okay, I should say that the voice of Rhonda Byrne is a great plus for the narration of this book. I listen to it as an audiobook. I usually listen to audiobooks in double speed, and it just took like 2 or 3 hours for me to listen to the entire book, and I should say that I just finished it in one sitting, and I felt so motivated, so much more positive after reading it than before I felt reading it, because it was very powerful in many ways, especially the way in which she puts forward. She also has this different Australian accent in which we do get to listen to a lot of American English speaking people and British English speaking people, but there are very few times that we get to experience that Australian accent, and it was very much provided in this one, since the author herself is Australian, and it was really marvelous in many ways, if you ask me, and the power of her voice was the thing which just made this audiobook the best for me. The next one is How to Be a Bawse by Lilly Singh. This was written by Lilly Singh when she was in her later 20s, so I should say that it's a bit outdated from her career right now, but it was really very awesome to read, especially one of the main reasons being that she narrated it herself. Okay, whenever we read memoirs, I'm sure that if it is narrated by the author themselves, it will make a great impact for the listener or the reader, mainly because they are just telling their life story in their own voice. What can be a better experience than that if the story is good? And I do think that every memoir out there deserves to be good, because no one has lived a boring life, and when a person puts out a memoir, I'm sure that it is a part of their life. We don't have the capacity, or we don't get the ability to judge one's life from reading a memoir, but in this one it is very motivational in many senses, if you ask me. Though being such a great personality, I'm sure that Lilly Singh's writing is very accessible, and it is very relatable in many ways. I listened to this one day when I was going to and coming back from work, and it was just a great experience, and that day itself was really positive for me after listening to this on audio. The next one is one of the most famous books in this list, and it is also another memoir. I'm talking about Becoming by Michelle Obama. I listened to this on audio in 2019 November, and it took me almost a week to finish the entire audiobook, because it's very long. Okay, I think it's nearly a 20-hour long audiobook, and the narration of Michelle Obama again is really beautiful. Okay, she knows how to articulate the things properly to the listener or reader, so that we get the gist of what she's trying to speak about. Also, there is not that much extra fitting to her writing at all. It is very much straightforward, and it is very accessible and understandable in many ways. For being such a great personality, I'm sure that her book is something which is very much suitable for beginners, because while you are trying to get into reading non-fiction books, you must not get bored while reading it. That's one of the main reasons, and I do think that if you start with this one, there is no way you can get bored at all, because that life that she has lived until she has written that memoir has been so wonderful in many ways, and the way in which she articulates it with us and puts forward in front of our eyes, it's just so excellent in many ways. The last book that I'd like to recommend today is Art Matters Because Your Imagination Can Change the World by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Chris Riddel, also narrated by Neil Gaiman himself. In this book, Neil Gaiman actually talks about the importance of art and how making art makes our life better as each and every individual person. And also he talks about the importance of libraries and the habit of reading as a whole, which I do think that will be enjoyable for each and every reader out there. It is also a very tiny little audiobook, okay? It's not even 1 hour long, but I'm sure that the impact that it had on me was very much awesome. I just listened to it during a single train commute, and I remember most of the things that the author was narrating to me vividly in his voice itself, because it was such a powerful audiobook in many ways. Though it is so short, it is very much how to say, concise and to the point in many ways. Okay guys, that's all for today, and if you did enjoy watching today's video and found it useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.